Good morning, everyone. My name is Timothy Froude. I'm President and CEO of Sokoman Minerals Corp. I'm here today to tell you about our latest press releases, one today on our Moosehead project, our flagship project, and as well reintroduce a story that we've been bringing to fore over the past few months on our Flur De Lys project also in Newfoundland, but at a much earlier stage. So a couple of press releases to talk about, plans moving forward, and obviously first and foremost today will be the results of our winter drilling program, which we just put out this morning.
Fantastic, Tim. So good to see you again. I think it's been a year, over a year, would you believe? Over a year. Now, I know you've been busy, been following the story. Quite like the story. Why don't we maybe use those press releases as a kind of guide to the kind of conversation, because there's a few areas where I want to go. So why don't we start off with Moosehead? I mean, what's the news there?
Well, we've got all of our assays back now, so we're clean as a whistle in terms of any data really to share with our shareholders in the market. Obviously, the Footwall Splay results are spectacular. In times of old, I guess, if you will, some of the intersections are, in the 600 to 800 gram meter mark. And they're significant because today's news also introduced, maybe reaffirmed, I guess, our commitment to advancing the Moosehead project in a responsible way. And part of that process is the collection of a bulk sample at some point, hopefully late this year. We signed an MOU with a company called Novamera Inc. They're a very interesting story. I urge everyone to check out their website, Novamera.com, I think it is. But they've got a very good website and some very exciting technology that we hope to take advantage of to facilitate our advancing this project. And what it involves is they've developed some technology. It's an EM-based system that they use in hole to essentially map out, your ore body, basically, or your ore zone, or areas of mineralization. And obviously, Moosehead being a classic orogenic quartz vein hosted system, it's able to actually identify and map out within a radius of 3 to 4 meters around the drill hole the high grade core. Basically, the quartz vein system itself, and it's able to discern between wall rock and the target that you're chasing. So we're going to use that system basically to map out a section of the Footwall Splay, which we have done, and we provided them with a couple of drill holes. The assays that you see today, hole 166A and B, produce some spectacular results. An area that we obviously want to focus on for our bulk sample. And then subsequent to that, the actual collection of the bulk sample, which would be down the road. Now, they have to model this data and all this sort of stuff, but we started this process. I think it's new technology. It's clean mining, if you will, or clean technology. It's a very closed system. It recycles water. It's very environmentally small footprint, and yeah, something I think that could be, very helpful for not just a project like us, but other projects as well. They have signed contracts with other companies in Ontario and in South America. So this is an advancing technology, and I urge everyone again to check their website. But anyway, the first step has been done. We've basically provided them with a couple of drill holes in the Footwall Splay in an area we were expecting, obviously, to get some good results, and we sure did today. The results are out. They're public. 10.25 meters of 84 grams, and the second hole, 12 meters of 44. So the gold is there. We just need to try and figure out a way to get it out as sufficiently and effectively and environmentally responsibly as we possibly can. We also put out results from the 552 zone, which is a new zone that we brought into the picture last year with a discovery there last fall. And again, the results are what they are. It's still a system that we have, to fully flesh out. Clearly, it shows signs of mineralization that we're used to seeing at Moosehead. For now, the grades have been, probably somewhat modest in terms of what we'd be producing from the Footwall Splay. But again, The target is open. It's still there, and it will be something that we'll be focusing on with our summer program, which should start in a couple of weeks and should run through until the third quarter. And by the way, we are fully funded for this work as well, Matt.
Okay, well, let's get into the drilling in a second. But coming back to Novamera, because it's a little bit exciting. Because when I was at PDAC in February, it was clear that new technologies are coming in and being introduced to make mining more efficient. And my goodness, it's needed it for a long time. So this Novamera is really a sort of high resolution 3D modeling of the kind of quartz things. That's be really interesting to see what that actually looks like. But the bit that I really quite like, and we've been talking about a lot recently, is the ability to do bulk sampling. That's where it gets really interesting, because not only are they giving you great data, but you're able to bulk sample the good stuff, I guess, and that has an impact financially, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. I mean, who wants to mine, waste rock, basically? Now, in our situation, there are areas in obviously the Footwall Splay and the Eastern Trend in general where we do get, gold in wall rocks, so up to several meters in places and up to several grams. But really, I mean, the prize here are these high grade gems, right? The Footwall Splay, the 75 zone, South Pond zone. So that opens up then the possibility down the road for attacking these things in a much simpler, faster, and most likely cheaper way, as well as being a very, very low impact. I mean, think about it. You won't be producing any tailings, right? Basically, you're going to be mining with a large. This is now down the road. I'm not saying we're going to be mining in the next 6 months or anything, but the first step obviously is to get the data, which they have now from Footwall Splay. They're going to model it for us and basically map out a plan to get a bulk sample, quickly and efficiently, and with basically no imprint on the environment. So that process, the permitting for that bulk sample will obviously follow the receipt of their report, which will be, I can't tell you exactly when, but it'll be, several weeks or maybe a month or two down the road. But the process has started. I mean, it's time to move Moosehead forward, and that this will give us, that first step, as well as important information metallurgically, what the recoveries are going to be like, and a better idea, maybe as to a better way to mine this, down the road. Better mine.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, and I don't mean to just like I said, we'll come on to the drilling component plan in a second, because you got that all that high grade gold going on there. But just with this the bulk sampling bit, because I just find that smaller companies need all the help they can get in terms of being efficient, in terms of their allocation of capital, how to kind of maybe look at different ways of bringing money in, which isn't dilutive, etc. And bulk sampling sometimes can really help companies, smaller companies in a way. So with this kind of surgical mining technique that they've got, how do they actually recover the bulk samples? Say if it's, well, I don't know what depths we're talking about, I don't know how wide the holes are, or what size the bulk samples are, but do you have any sense of that?
Yeah, it's quite fascinating. In fact, if you can envision, say, a tunnel boring machine, like underground tunnels in London, sort of thing, it could actually mine basically a volume up to a couple of meters in diameter. I mean, we're talking large scale, several meters in diameter boreholes. So basically, and what this facilitates at the same time is it actually crushes the rock. So it eliminates the need for crushing and all that stuff, basically, and then they pump it out as a slurry, right?
Oh, really? Wow.
And then it gets shipped off to whoever is going to process it for us, and that sort of thing. So think of the cost savings in terms of not having to dig a pit. You avoid the waste rock, you get to the goods, and basically your footprint is minuscule. And I think this is good news for everybody.
Right. And how far down are we in terms of downhole? How many meters are we talking about?
As far as I know, it can go down tens, if not 100 meters.
Wow. Okay.
I'm still learning this technology, obviously myself, but certainly we're not looking at just getting, it's at the top skin. I mean, we're looking at getting, down as far as we can with this
So
thing.
tens of meters, not a couple of meters.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, and pumped as a slurry back up the surface.
Yeah, and then they basically backfill with cement or some other material that's benign and acceptable, obviously, to the environment. And then you just move the whole drill unit over and do the same thing again, and just basically, you're mining it like you're mining it underground, except you're mining it from surface. So again, no waste, no tailings pond, no mill. Basically, it's you almost won't even see it, sort of thing. It's great, and I'm very excited about it. But first step, obviously, is to get this bulk sample, and process has started for us. In that, we've obviously got a very nice area now outlined. With the 2 drill holes, 166A and B. We picked 166 because it was a hole that we knew where the Footwall Splay came very close to surface, and we're talking just a few tens of meters. And in fact, it probably comes even right to surface. We estimate. So it's just that where we positioned the holes for this survey. They intersected the zone probably, I think, 30, 40 meters, vertically.
Okay. I promise not to ask any more questions about Novamera. But I think those sorts of technologies are just fantastic for small companies. Let's get on to kind of like the 2024 winter drill program. Obviously, usually you aren't drilling this time of year. The weather says no, but perhaps you're going to be able to go early.
Well, we're about to start at Moosehead, actually. We took some time, obviously, to get this work done for Novamera, and that was basically the last phase of the drilling at Moosehead. And we will move forward with probably 8,000 to 10,000 meters of drilling, which has been budgeted for Moosehead. And again, it will, there's still a lot to learn about the 552. I know some people, are probably not overly excited about the results we're getting, but you know what? There's high grade in there somewhere. We know that over narrow intervals we can get 10 to 12 grams, and we still don't know how big this system is yet, Matt. It's still only really just 100, 125 meters in strike length. It's open and in all directions. And yes, the cross section that we put up in our press release today did show that the zone actually weakened a bit at depth, but no zone is going to be consistently the same grade, top to bottom, east to west sort of thing. I'm not worried about that. I'm obviously looking forward to this project in a couple of focuses, but again, to bring up something I mentioned at the start, Flur De Lys. It's time for Flur De Lys to shine now, and we did put out a press release last week. That work had started a month earlier than expected based on the lack of snow. As you can see in this picture, there's no snow. It's gone, as are most of the trees. Basically, what you see left standing there are basically the hardwoods that they're not really interested in. They're looking at the spruce and the fir for the pulp paper. But and here I am with my hand firmly placed on a very large rock that forms part of what we call the Golden Bull Prospect. And we've now found 30 boulders, and just last week we added a few more to that number. And as you can tell, some of them are several large. They're very angular, so they're very local. And they're within an area that historically Noranda in the 1980s had identified some smoke. And actually, not far from here. In fact, if you look over by my right elbow, then you see the ridge line back there. That's about 500 meters away. That's where Noranda poked their one hole. They drilled one hole in its property, and they did get anomalous gold in some stringery veins, but nothing that resembles kind of this type of material. It tells me that obviously this thing is still undiscovered in terms of it hasn't been proven in bedrock yet, but given the angularity of these boulders and the number of them, I'm quite confident that with the couple thousand meters that we've got budgeted for, already money in the bank for it, that we'll find the source of these things. So so this is March of this year, the start of the logging activities, and where the yellow star is where I was just standing with that large boulder, and you can see there's a little bit of road work going on here. If you go to the next slide, that's what they did, right? So basically all those trees are gone, and they basically stirred up this whole countryside here now. There was no outcrop here, virtually no outcrop in this area, Matt. So, we're very fortunate that they were able to get in there and open this area up. And with all due respect to the logging industry, they do kind of tear up the dirt a little bit. They do tend to scuff off a bit of moss here and there, and that's exactly what we found last week when we started our work at Flur De Lys. That they have definitely stirred up some boulders and things like that for us, things that we will learn and benefit from and help us with our planning for the drilling, which should start sometime in July, probably second, third week around there. Like I said, we haven't got our permits yet, but that's just a formality. There shouldn't be an issue to have them in time, to get our plans and everything ready to go. But so just forward one more slide, Matt. So now I've thrown everything we know about this area on this map. Basically, I'll try and do it as simply as possible. So Golden Bowl is that yellow star you see there in the middle. And that blue area that you see around it is like a blue, almost like a trapezoid or something. That's the area that we're finding multiple boulders of that type that you saw me with my hand on there. So there's boulders there, but if you look up at those yellow triangles and those yellow boxes, those are till samples that we took along the ridge line there. And the number that you see in them indicates gold grains in a 10 kilogram bag. So it appears that the gold is coming from south to north, because into the picture is south. So you can see the compass in the top right, and out of the screen towards you would be to the north. So clearly those boulders have moved from somewhere up near that ridge, and I think it's just a matter of which hole are we going to hit this thing on. So we're very excited about that. And as well, you can also see in the yellow boxes up at the top the location where Noranda drilled their one hole in 1988, as well as dug a few trenches and actually found a bit of gold in bedrock, but completely different mineralization than the stuff that we've been finding at what we call the Golden Bull, which was what we announced last fall. And you just saw the picture a few minutes ago, that large chunk of rock with me. It's totally different. So there's a separate system somewhere on that hillside. Now it's up to us to figure out exactly where it is, and I'm pretty optimistic about our chances. So this is looking down on that same scene, right? So down at the bottom here, at the very bottom of the screen, you'll see Noranda drill hole GP88-1. So we're now looking at it in the other direction. So top of the page is to the north, down the hill, and you can see the Golden Bull target there. You can see all the little dots there, the yellow, the orange and the red ones. And there are more than that there. They're just on top of one another. That's where the cluster of boulders is. So somewhere between where Noranda drilled their hole and where those cluster of boulders are, there's some very nice mineralization sitting there waiting to be found. And like I said, I like our chances, Matt. It's not just one boulder or two boulders. I mean, we've got dozens of boulders. They're all very angular. They're all very local. And, I think with a couple more weeks prospecting, we may even find it. We may even find it in place yet. We haven't done this whole area yet. So crews are out there, and crews will be there for the next little while, as well as changing and checking other areas of the property as well, because this is just the main target area for now. But Flur De Lys is a much larger project than that, and there's much more to offer, I think, in terms of other areas and other targets that will eventually, field the drill bit as well. But for now, the focus will be on that Golden Bull, say Noranda area, if you want to call it that. It's still a large area. I mean, that's still 500, 700, 800 meters of strike length, and a lot can happen in that amount of distance geologically, as you're well aware. I mean, it could be a different planet there. A couple hundred meters could mean the difference between a lot of things really, but geologically a lot can change. And clearly, with just one drill hole in this whole area, I mean, it hasn't been tested at all. So it's up to us.
So drill program about to start. It's kind of interesting. They explain why the boulders are significant. That I think that's kind of useful for you in terms of what you're looking for on the ground. Talk about how long it's going to take, because I think what people are going to want to see is they're kind of used to you sort of announcing, some nice high grade gold. Not every hole's going to hit because this is early stage, in the process, and you're trying to kind of get onto, where those sort of source rocks are, where they're coming from, and why they're ending up where they are, and where the good stuff is, all that kind of stuff that you've got to chase after. But what's the sort of time frame between now and actually getting some more announcements out there into the market? People want to hear from you. When are we talking about?
Well, as far as Moosehead goes, we should be within a week or two of announcing the start of drilling there again, right? Chasing, obviously it's a 552 zone, as well as something I didn't mention earlier was we had the Dr. David Collar back as well for a visit. It's been well over a year since he's been involved directly with the project, and so we had a lot to catch up with, a lot of drill holes and things like that. And he was quite enthralled and intrigued with the 552 zone, as it's a different orientation. So he likes this area in terms of it being, the upper end of a fan of thrusts, basically, and thrusts are basically just structural, repeats of a similar package of rock. So he's not gone as far as saying that maybe 552 is in the footwall of another thrust that we know is out there to the east. Again, an area that we haven't drill tested. But long story short, we tasked him basically with, okay, if you had 2 or 3 drill holes to put down to 800 meters or deeper, where would you put them? And I think that's a story that would excite a lot of our shareholders as well, because obviously we've been chasing low-hanging fruit, for a while, and and time is marching on. I realize that as well. It's time to see what's down there. I mean, where is this gold coming from? Check out the plumbing system, and a couple of 800 to 1,000 meter drill holes. This year, they will be drilled this year. I think it's time for that, and I think obviously it could be a game changer for us in terms of revitalizing this story. Because I think in general terms, I think that it's obviously the shine has sort of gone off. The central Newfoundland play, a lot of stocks have stagnated. And I'm just talking about our region. Yes, there are, obviously junior stocks that have done very well in this market. And that's another thing I was going to bring up as well. Like, I don't think people should be afraid of where we sit. And I'm probably stepping on dangerous ground here, but, we've got, 280 million shares outstanding. People are sending me messages saying, oh my God, you're over the hill. Well, I'm just going to use one example, a local example, Calibre Mining, right? An Australian-based company, right? We all know about companies from Australia. They love shares. They love millions and millions of shares, right? Here's a company.
Billions, Tim.
Here's a company that
literally
in the last 12 months, since acquiring the Valentine Lake Gold Project, which is just down the road from our Moosehead, not only do they have 785 million shares outstanding, but their share price has doubled. So, what the F with, 280 million.
Well, I just think that's Australia. When I'm not joking when I say, we deal with Australian companies with billions of shares out. It's just a decimal, where you put the decimal point. The value of the company doesn't change wherever you put that decimal point. But
yes,
North Americans don't tend to like it because they want to see a higher share price and not be dealing in, percentages of cents. I've never had an issue with it. I don't think anyone should have an issue with it. Australians could care less about it, and their stock market's done exceptionally well. So maybe time for people to focus on other things. I agree with you on that one.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just to further that point, if people want me to continue to explore, well, you're going to have to accept the fact that more shares will have to be issued. Yes, I would like to see it at a much higher price. And obviously, we've got warrants out there at 13 cents that could bring in $4 million in the drop of a hat. We just got to get the stock to, higher than 13 cents, obviously. But I think both projects, Flur De Lys and Moosehead, I'm not even talking about Killick or anything yet. Don't forget, that's another issue as well. That's advancing, albeit slowly, thanks to the TSX Venture Exchange. I hope they're not listening, but yeah, they're not they're not helping things right now. But anyway, I'll get into that maybe in a second. But
yeah, your exchange and your prime minister, two of the things which I don't quite understand. Look, well, let's focus on things that do matter, because as you say, the number of shares out, it kind of actually genuinely doesn't matter. That's a math thing, and by math thing I mean decimal point thing. The things that do matter is you're gonna have to either be able to talk about making a discovery or making sense of what you've got in terms of trying to at least intimate the ability to create a sort of economic package there at some point down the line, right? That's what you're going after. So can you talk about literally the type of activity on the ground and specifically around the drilling? Because those are the things that people understand.
Yes, yeah. And I think both projects can deliver a discovery, as you mentioned. I mean, we know what Moosehead has delivered, in the past. So we know what it's capable of. And in fact, just today, we put out 2 drill holes that, obviously substantiate, there's gold in the ground at Moosehead. So, and 552 again. But I think it's the deep potential that I think could really be a game changer for us. And, we will be drilling those holes at some point this year, probably in third quarter around there, maybe in the fall after we've, learned from what we're doing right now. And as well, Flur De Lys again, we're targeting, a year today. In fact, we were leaving for Ireland to look at Current, which is in the same rocks, and we verified that when we were there. That was our main focus of that trip, was to basically see what the heck is this deposit sitting in? Does it look like our rocks? And yes, all the boxes got checked. So we're bringing that knowledge back home now. And obviously, with Golden Bull, emerging as a separate brand new target, in addition to, the smoke that Noranda identified. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. And so Flur De Lys has not been drilled. There's one hole. So it hasn't been drilled in my mind. So yes, we are capable on both projects of delivering the goods, a new discovery. And I mean a new discovery on both projects, Moosehead and Flur De Lys. And obviously now with the first steps towards, bringing Moosehead to the next level with Novamera, I think is an important milestone, and we'll be, obviously moving forward with that. And again, another 8,000 to 10,000 meters of drilling coming, will get us into the third, fourth quarter. The price of gold is obviously doing fantastic. And if you stand in the rain long enough, hopefully you'll get trickled down. So we still haven't seen that in our neck of the woods, and with exceptions obviously being Calibre, whose stock has doubled, building the mine there at Valentine. But I think, like I said, there's a bit of a shadow over, I think, of Newfoundland in general, and I hate to say that, but again, we have the capability and the projects to change that sentiment around.
Well, Tim, I will wait to hear from you and the outcome from this program. Do stay in touch. Good luck when you get out there. Let us know how you get on. Okay.
Yes, thanks, Matt.